There's one giant glaring issue with basically all barefoot shoes, and that's that they're just ugly. And very few brands make something I would even remotely wear casually without feeling like I'm Howard the Duck and second guessing myself the whole time, walking around looking at my feet. But I do like some of the features and the values that they build into the barefoot shoe world. So we're gonna cut this thing in half, run it through our test to really figure out if this is my perfect sneaker or if it's just another ugly barefoot shoe as the start of this series that I'm gonna call for now, Finding My Perfect Casual Sneaker. Which doesn't mean it has to be barefoot, it could be anything, but I like some of the features that are in barefoot shoes. So this is the start of a mini series that I'm gonna start doing sporadically where they're gonna be short, to the point, chock full of all the information that you need and are used to with this style of video, but a heavy emphasis on my personal subjective opinions. Because the subjective goal of this series is I just beat my feet up wearing so many different shoes and breaking in so many boots that when I wear stuff casually, I want something that's just really comfortable. It's not gonna make my feet hurt more, but still looks really good without sacrificing style that usually come inherent to a more barefoot style shoe. So what are these things I'm looking for? Well, number one, near zero drop. Doesn't have to be, just no giant heel. I don't like feeling like I'm jamming my toes in the front of my shoe. I want enough squish to actually be comfortable. Not too much, not too little, because a lot of these barefoot shoes just go too little and my feet hurt after wearing. Number three, I want to be nice and flexible and articulate, it just feels better. And I want a wide enough toe box that my toes aren't squished when I'm recovering from beating my feet up. And more of the aesthetic side, I don't want them to look like clown shoes. I want them to be stylish enough that you're not looking down at me and be like, oh, this guy clearly has 7 toes. That's why he's got special made flipper for shoes. And obviously they've got to be durable. And the final thing is the price, because some of these barefoot shoes and some of these more boutique style companies, they charge so much money without giving you a whole lot of substance. So what is this first shoe that we're reviewing for this series? Well, the brand is Splay shoes. The style is the Slip-On 23. They weigh under a pound at 11 ounces. They retail for really cheap, $49, and they're made in Mexico. And the way that they position this shoe is the Slip-On 23 is new and improved, the classic slip-on that is up for anything, featuring an easier entry and roomier fit with the foot-friendly design and naturally superior comfort that made Splay famous. And if you want a pair of these, be sure to check them out. The link's in my description. So what is this shoe? What is it made of? What are the materials? Before we get to the more subjective stuff, well, the upper is 100% cotton canvas. It's 100% North American cotton canvas on that. And it's nice, flexible, it's gonna move with you. It's just like typical sneaker canvas. It does have a little bit of a microfiber accent on the back that looks like suede, but we did the burn test and it's not suede, it's just a synthetic microfiber. We burned the canvas, double checked that it's cotton. It smells like it's burning paper, so it tells me it's cotton. And if you look on the inside, it comes with a couple of these little inserts that are fabric topped with an open cell foam, and then on the bottom it's got a closed cell foam, giving you a little bit more squish underfoot, maybe making up a little bit of the room if they're just a skosh too big, because I don't think these guys do half sizes. So I do like that because barefoot shoes are so hard underfoot. Then if we look at the outsole, so this says, the way they describe this is a high-tech vulcanized rubber sole, which is, I think it's just rubber. You know, maybe it wasn't fully cured, because we'll explain this during the construction part. But from everything that we can see, it's just a typical rubber for sneakers. One interesting thing though is that we put a lighter to it and it kind of got powdery and like got crumbly. So maybe it has something to do with it being a vulcanized rubber rather than a regular rubber. And I wanted to see how hard it was, and it comes into a 60 to 65 Shore, so a nice zone, not quite as hard as work boots, not quite as soft as like a foam shoe. But my real question with this is how thick is this outsole? Because some of these barefoot shoes, they go really thin and they pretend like, oh, it's more ground filled. But I question that. I think it's about saving money. And then finally to the construction, like I mentioned, it's vulcanized, which basically means that the rubber cup sole's not fully cured. They throw it in a giant oven, and as that fully cures, it bonds itself to the canvas. It's not glued, it's actually the rubber itself curing to the canvas, which can be really strong. It's the same way that all the Vans and all the old school sneakers like Converse are made. But if you've owned a pair, sometimes they fail. But now to the subjective stuff, and this is subjective, being very clear. You know, this is something that I'm looking for personally with my personal needs that we kind of went over. And I might adjust these and change these as we go along this series, as I really refine what I'm looking for my perfect casual sneaker. Number one, near zero drop or no heel. Yes, this is about as flat as they come. Enough squish to actually be comfortable. I don't know if this is enough squish for me for like a daily driver. So we'll see if we get it cut in half, even with this little insert. Flexible and articulate. Oh yeah, classic barefoot shoe. No squish toes. Yes, very much no squish toes. Almost a little bit too much, because the next one is not a clown shoe. It's a little bit clownish for me. Like when I put it on, it's just a little bit too much. And I've got really narrow feet, and you know, it's subjective once again. And so I don't need this much room. And I was really hoping that this would look like a pair of Vans, but just with the big toe straightened out, but it's really wide, which some people are really gonna love, and that's why they're gonna buy a shoe like this. But for me, on this particular series, I'm putting form over function when it comes to the look of these shoes, and this one does not pass for me. But what about the durability? Well, I think it's durable enough for a casual sneaker, especially for 50 bucks. If they're charging 200 bucks for this, it'd be a different story. So for 50 bucks, I'm about willing to gamble on anything if it fits my needs, and everything points to this being clearly worth 50 bucks. It's surprising it's as cheap as it is. So now let's cut them in half and see what's on the inside, see if there's any extra squish in there hiding from me. And thanks to us at Anvil for sponsoring this video, because it is increasingly hard to get sponsors for these videos, and they try to just get you as cheap as possible to a point where we're having to change a little bit of our business structure. So that's why we're showing you some of the handmade stuff that we're making here in the shop, because this is what started all of this. The reason I know so much about leather is because I started this leather working business where we make these hand sewn wallets, no sewing machines, vegetable tan leather. We've got this micro adjust belt that I think people are sleeping on, because it's that common problem with belts where one holds too tight, one's too loose. This little adjustment on the back, this micro adjust, gets you the ability to split the difference. So if it's that Goldilocks zones right between two holes, this allows you to do that. And finally, our lasso link neck strap that's super short for this video, but this is a little, this is our new camera strap that's still in the first batch prototyping phase, so it's still a little bit cheaper than the final product. So check them out before the price goes up, and check them out below. Thanks again to Anvil. All right, we got them cut in half, so let's see what's inside. So what's on the inside? Well, actually a pretty thick outsole, especially for a barefoot shoe. It comes in at 6 millimeters, so right where I would personally want it for a barefoot shoe, or for a perfect casual sneaker, really. But there's no midsole at all, just a little bit of like some squishy fabric basically underneath that layer of red canvas. And keep in mind, lots of people are actually looking for this. So it's not a critique of the shoe, it's a critique of my need for the specific shoe that this does not have. So is this the one? Is this my perfect casual sneaker? No, not for me. It just doesn't have enough squish, and it's not normal enough looking for me to feel comfortable wearing it all day, every day, without feeling like everyone's constantly staring at my feet because I'm wearing flippers. But is it worth the price? I think it is. It's got to be up there with some of the best value barefoot shoes that we've cut apart. And comparing these to the other barefoot shoes that are in that sub $100 price range in the zeros, I think these are better built. And I think I'd probably choose these. And if you want to see a direct comparison, Zero versus Splay, let me know and I'll make it, put it on Anvil too. So how does this rank on our newly established Weston's Perfect Casual Sneaker Board? Well, right now it's right at the top, because it's the only one we've cut apart so far. So if you want a pair of these, check them out, the link in my description. Let me know what other shoes and other brands you think fit this specific need I have. And we're just gonna do these on occasion whenever I have time, just to, you know, because this is a personal project for me that also benefits you guys. And I think it's a fun spin on the video, keeps them a little bit shorter. We're able to get into a little bit more obscure stuff and put it through a unique lens of my personal subjective needs, which is gonna be fun for me. So thanks for watching and all your support that you give us on this channel. The Anvil 2 builds our handmade leather goods. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing it. It's a good way to support this series and us as a whole. So thank you guys. See ya.